If I was a beginner again in the gym, these would be the S tier exercises I would do to gain the most amount of muscle mass possible. Starting off with chest, I would pick a pec deck, as it is overall the unparalleled king of chest development. So if you want to get a really big, thick chest, 100% go for the pec deck. The next S tier exercise I would pick for chest would be any sort of incline movement, whether it be an incline Smith machine press or just a regular free weight barbell press. You could even do incline dumbbell press if you want. But for overall upper pec development, you have to pick an incline movement and get fucking strong with it. Now moving on to shoulders, the first S tier exercise I would pick would be a stable and seated shoulder press movement. You want to make sure you're going heavy with correct technique, and just overall, this is one of the best movements you could possibly do to develop your shoulders. Next up for shoulders, I would pick any sort of lateral raise movement, whether that be dumbbell or cable. You want to make sure you're going heavy, just like on shoulder press, correct technique, and actually really focusing on getting your elbow from 0 to 90 degrees. Now moving on to back, the first S tier exercise I'm going to pick is any sort of flared row variation. This is to make sure we're developing a thick and big upper back. Next up for back, I would recommend any sort of pull down movement, whether that be a lat pull down, Keenan flap, or a pull up. This is to bias the lats to make sure you're getting a really big and thick V taper. Now moving on to triceps, personally I would recommend weighted dips or bodyweight dips. You could even alternatively do JM press if you wanted to, but you need to have a heavy pressing pattern to develop the medial and lateral head of your triceps. Now moving on to biceps, you 100% only need one curl variation. Personally I do a preacher curl, but literally pick any curl variation and get fucking strong. Moving on to quads, the first S tier exercise I would pick would be any sort of pressing pattern, whether that be a hack squat, a leg press, or a barbell back squat. But you want to make sure you're going heavy and prioritizing a squat pattern, because eventually you will max out leg extensions. Therefore, this is the next best thing for quad growth. Now onto the final S tier exercise for quads, I would have to go over leg extension. This is overall the king of quad development for beginners, as it's easy to progress, it's stable, and it's great for activation. Make sure you progress on getting stronger on this whilst doing correct technique. Now moving on to hamstrings, I would have to go with a hip hinge movement, whether that be an SLDL, an RDL, or even a back extension. But you want to make sure you're doing a hip hinge to overall get amazing hamstring and erector spinae growth. This will give you a thick lower back and an overall really developed posterior chain. Now on to the last S tier hamstring exercise, I would have to personally go with a lying leg curl, but you could also alternatively do a seated leg curl. Either way, just pick one of the two, focus on getting strong at it, control the eccentric and explode in the concentric. Now on to the final S tier exercise of the video. This is for calves. Personally, I would choose any calf raise variation where you keep your legs straight. This prioritizes the gastrocnemius more than the soleus, giving you an overall thicker calf. For this, you could do a leg press variation or a standing variation, whichever one you want. But make sure you train calves, because you got skinny calves. Train them.